We're on. I'm on. All right. This is Thursday, September 5th, year of our Lord 2019. And we are in pre-algebra talking about, we're introducing the idea of variables and expressions. Yesterday we talked about the hot air balloon, and we had a simple little expression on the board that said if the hot air balloon had already traveled 5 miles, we're going to add to that how many miles would it have gone if traveling 6 miles per hour, how many miles would it have gone after 1 hour? And we said, oh, we wrote 5 plus 6 times 1 is 11. And then we said, well, how many miles would it go after 2 hours? And we replaced the 1 with the 2 because, so used to have them in my pocket. Who remembers what the formula for speed is? Lauren. D equals RT. Now we got to know what D means. What's D? And what's R? And what's T? So we took, yes sir.
Actually, I got my science book.
Oh, Noah. How many weeks of grace do you get in middle school?
9.
See, in 5th grade, we try to give them a week's grace, Noah. You
That did
better go get, wait, did this happen already this week?
No.
Weren't you sitting over there? Who was, that was last week?
Yeah.
Oh, so you get 1 grace per week?
I don't know.
Go, Noah.
He always grabbed the wrong book.
Hey, who's got their locker next to Noah? You gotta help them out. I mean, it shouldn't be your responsibility, but, you know, you just come along a friend and help them out. Distance equals rate times time. So we had to take the rate, 6 miles per hour, times the time, 1 hour, 2 hours, right? Okay, turn to page 16. We're going to be talking about evaluating, translating expressions, and then we're going to write expressions based on, we're going to read something, and we're going to turn that into an algebraic expression. Say that phrase. Algebraic expression. Now you feel big, right? Big words. Algebraic expression. We're going to take someone telling us something and turn it into letters and numbers. It's going to be a mathematical sentence or saying, expression, algebraically. All right. Example number 2 at the top of page 16. It's called evaluating variable expressions. What's a variable again? It's something that varies. So it's usually symbolized by a letter. Because we don't know what it is yet. The value of X or Y or N or B or S or T varies depending on the equation or the expression you're working with. So in example number 2, they say evaluate the expression when X is 8 and Y is 2. For this particular expression, X, they're saying, has a value of 8, and Y has a value of 2. So, what's in the middle of the word evaluate? Value. So, evaluate what it would be. And you should be looking at example 2 saying, wow, this is algebra. This is so easy. What do? You just replace where you see an X with 8, and you replace where you see a Y with 2. So, what did they do there in example 2? 2a, 7x plus 15. Evaluate that. What's x? 8. 7 times 8 plus 15. Boom. See what they did? Preston, can you believe we're in the 2nd week of algebra and that's all we got to do? We're just taking 8 and putting it in where you see an x. And how do we do that? They told us. We didn't have to figure anything out, Jordan. They said, hey, here's what x equals. Mitchell, you just put the 8 in there for the x. Pretty simple, right? Part B, 3x minus 5y. Oh, now they made it a little tougher. They put 2 letters in there. But Cameron, it's still not hard, is it? Why? Because they told us how much x was, and they told us how much y was, right? So you're not figuring anything out. You are just evaluating the expression by putting the value they gave you. That's it. Any questions on example 2? So when you see the instructions in your homework or in the book, evaluate. They're going to give you a value for the letter, and you just plug it in. Should be pretty clear. Everybody got it? So in example 2b, they plugged in 8 for x, they plugged in 2 for y, 3 times 8 is 24, 5 times 2 is 10, 24 minus 10, 14. Boom, done. In the middle of page 16, when you are reading and you're learning how to write an algebraic expression, you got to keep track of key words and phrases. This takes you back again. This is like elementary arithmetic. When do you use addition? When are you going to add things? When you see phrases like, somebody take over, you read them. Read the list of phrases that you're going to use a plus sign. You're going to use addition in evaluation. Z, go ahead. Read them all. Right there in the middle of page 16.
Addition.
Yeah.
Plus the sum of increased by a total more than 2.
Not hard, is it? When they're telling you to find the sum of, total, if they just use the word plus, these are all clear, right? You're going to add. You're going to subtract if you see the word minus. What's the answer to a subtraction problem? Difference. So if it says find the difference, if you see phrases like how much more than, how many fewer, less than, you're going to subtract. Multiplication, when you see the word times, when you see product, or when you see multiplied, and division, when you see the word quotient, or, what's that last one? Per. When you see the word per, you should be thinking division. Not per like the kitty, P-E-R. You should be thinking division. Everybody got those? Okay, we're moving right along. Example 3. That was a new word. Not evaluating, but come on, stay with me. Somebody speak up. You're with me on example 3. I said there's a new word now. It's not evaluating expressions. It's translating expressions. What's that mean? You're taking words, and now we're getting to, you're translating them into an expression, not writing words, but a mathematical expression. Distance equals rate times time. I didn't write all those words. What did I do? I just wrote letters and an equal sign. If I was to write this out in words, Seth, I would have written distance equals rate times time. Or distance equals rate multiplied by time. Everybody got it? Pretty simple so far? All we're doing is translating, hello, hola, distance equals rate times time, D equals RT. Do you get why they call it translating? It's taking the words and translating it into an algebraic expression. Read through these with me. Ready? You don't have to read them out loud. Just follow me in your book. The sum of a number and 9. You know how I'm going to write that? Look at it. N plus 9. Because they use the phrase sum of a number. Could they have written X plus 9? Could they? Could they have written T plus 9? Could they have written 9 plus B? It would all be the same, right? Because addition is commutative, doesn't matter which order. But since they said the sum of a number and 9, they put the variable first. That's the number. That's what you want to find out, right? It says the sum of a number and 9. That's what you want to know. Hey, what's the number? And in this case, they used N for number. The difference of a number and 21. How does that translate? Now, usually the first hiccup in translating is kids get confused when it comes to the subtraction one. Read it closely. The difference of a number and 21. Is this the same? Is that the difference of a number and 21? In the previous one I said, could you have written N plus 9 or 9 plus N or B plus? You said yes. Is that the same here? Does this say the difference of a number and 21? Is that what that says? Did I translate it correctly? Raise your hand if you think I did. The difference of a number and 21. Difference, number, 21. What's wrong? What's wrong with what I wrote? Jaden. The N could be anything. I could write a T, but I'm choosing to use N like number. That's why they're using N for a number. Does this say the difference of a number and 21? Case? The n has to come first. Read it again slowly for me.
Difference of a number and point.
Okay, subtraction is not, ready for this word, Evelyn? Commutative. You know what it means if you're going to college and you're a commuter? You can commute to college, or you can stay at college in a dorm. How many knew that? Right? So a lot of kids in our area go to YSU. Some stay there, some commute. That means they go back and forth. So addition, 6 plus 8, 8 plus 6, doesn't matter. You can move them around. You can't do that with subtraction. This is no good. That does not say the difference of a number and 21. What's that say? Translate that for me.
The difference of 21.
Thanks for being recognized. That says the difference of 21 and a number. See the difference? Oh, pun intended. You're allowed to laugh, Lorelai. Remember laughing at all my good jokes? Yeah. All right. Moving on. The product of 6 and a number. Is this the product of 6 and a number, Preston? 6 times t. Is that the product of 6 and a number? Yeah. Product multiplied 6 and a number. Is this the product of 6 and a number? Micah, is that the product of 6 and a number? Right here. Yes. Remember, when you have a coefficient, this is called, a number and a variable, one of the ways you could write to multiply is put a multiplication sign. Another way you can indicate multiplication is putting it next to parentheses. What about this one? Evelyn? Is that the product of 6 and a number?
Yes.
Yes. Another way you can indicate multiplication, Dominic, is the number and the letter right next to each other. How about this? Is that the product of 6 and a number? Jonathan? Yes. These are all ways to indicate multiplication. When you see the word multiplication, starts with a P. When you see the word product. Last one. The quotient of 48 and, oh, by the way, wait, let me finish that. Addition was commutative. Doesn't matter. See these? Is this also true?
Yeah.
Is that the product of 6 and a number? Okay. Subtraction, it didn't work that way. Division doesn't work that way. Only multiplication and addition are, what's the word I keep using? Starts with a C? Commutative. Means you can move them around and you're always going to get the same answer. So B6, X6. Nobody writes it like that. It doesn't follow the custom of algebra. If you wrote X with a 6 next to it, does it really mean that? Yeah, but the teachers, whoever you have, is going to say, hey, customary to write 6X. But these all mean multiply, and you can commute them. Division, the quotient of 48 and a number. Quotient of 48 and a number. Quotient. Is there anybody in here who doesn't know that the fraction bar is a division sign? The quotient of 48 and a number. Is that what that says? The quotient of 48 and a number. Did I translate it properly? Dominic?
No.
Why?
48 supposed to be on top.
48's first. That's what the language said. The quotient of 48 and a number. It has to be like that. Subtraction and division, not commutative. You have to write it exactly as said. And then, I have to say this all the time, Miss Crowther, fractions are people. Last year I had a kid say, do you do that on accident or is that on purpose? So after hearing me say that all those times, fractions, and I act like I'm going to say fractions are people too, they were actually seriously not sure if I did it on accident or not, just to try to be funny. Fractions are numbers too, right? So pre-algebra students, we are not going to lose our minds. We're going to follow the same rules we always follow with whole numbers, but for some reason, young math students, they know they got it all down pat, and then soon as a fraction's thrown in, they lose their minds. Fractions are numbers too, right? And you know how to work with them. That's what we did at the beginning of the year. We gave you that worksheet. Hey, remember how to work with fractions? Here's how you add them, subtract them, multiply, and divide. Don't lose your mind with a fraction. Look at the bottom there of example 3. What's 1/3 of a number? 1/3 Remember this? What word means multiply in math? Little word, 2 letters. 1/3 of a number. 1/3 of a number. When you see of in math, it means multiply. So they wrote 1/3 n. Your turn now. Number 3. Evaluate. You don't have to write this. Let's see if we can do this in our head, and we'll put you to work. Evaluate 9a. Up top it says a equals 12 and b equals 3. Ready? Who's got it? Let's go quick. Case. 108. Why? Because 9 with an a next to it is 9 times 12, 108. Next. B. I'm sorry, 4. They got AB written next to each other. Indicates multiplication. Jaden. 36. Why? A times B. 12 times 3, 36. Preston. Number 5. Uh-oh, a little tougher. You got B times A minus 6. What are these called, Preston? Parentheses. What do you do first in your order of operations? Parentheses. How much is A worth? B times 12 minus 6. What's 12 minus 6? How much did they tell us B's worth? What's the answer? 18. Raise your hand if you didn't get that. Number 5. I'm sorry, 6. Uh-oh. 6A divided by A minus B. 6A divided by A minus B. This reminds me of that one last week where they messed it up in the book. They had it wrong. 6A divided by A minus B. If I rewrite that, what's A worth? Cam? What's 6 times 12?
72.
What's A worth? 12? What's 72 divided by 12? What?
Oh, 7. Or 5.
You're all around it. What's B worth?
3.
What's the answer? 3. Everybody got that? Number 7. Now you're supposed to write the phrase using X. Somebody tell me what you would write. It says a number increased by 15. How would you write that on your paper? Bella? X plus 15. It's increased. 8 times a number. How would you write that on your paper, Rachel? How would you write 8 times n? Would you use a multiplication sign? Would you just write 8 with an n next to it? Yes. Yeah. Remember, keep it simple, right? Don't write the multiplication sign. Just write 8n or 8x, okay? All right. Lastly, writing and evaluating an expression. To measure your heart rate in beats per minute, count the number of beats in 15 seconds. We did this in 5th grade. You got up and jogged in place, and then we measured our heart rate, didn't we? Measured your heart rate 15 seconds, and then you had a target rate for boys and a different one for girls. It says multiply it by 4 to find your heart rate in beats per minute. Okay? A, use n to write an expression for heart rate in beats per minute. Okay, now it's getting tough. How many think like, okay, now I don't understand what they're saying? Be honest, right? Everything so far was pretty, when's this over? 10? I'm trying to go as fast as I can. What are they saying to do here? Now we are taking it and we're doing the writing ourselves. We're not just plugging in a value and evaluating it. We're not just translating it. We have to take the information and write an expression. Dominic's got his hand up already.
I'm confused.
Oh, go ahead.
On the BA, or the 6A divided by A minus B.
Yeah?
What did you get to that?
3.
I thought it was 8.
Okay, why? Like I said, just like last week, read this literally. 6A
Oh, yeah.
divided by A minus B, right?
Yeah. I thought that would be different.
To measure your heart rate in beats per minute, it says use n to write an expression for heart rate in beats per minute. N is going to be what you're using for how many beats you have in a minute. You count 18 beats in 15 seconds. What's your heart rate? It says you have to multiply it by 4 because 15 times 4 gives you a whole minute. You're looking for beats per minute. They want you to use N as your expression. What should I write on the paper? I know you can figure it out. Listen, here's the thing. Since we're just starting this, let's just get this out of the way. Let's say Sydney says, you know, Mr. Franken, I know the answer to this, but I don't know how to do the algebra. Isn't it okay if I just write the answer? I mean, I got the answer right, and I would like to say, sure, Sydney, but I can't because that takes away what we're actually trying to teach you, to use the algebraic method to find the answer. Why? Because there are not always going to be problems that she could easily find the answer to. It says here that she counted 18 beats in 15 seconds. So I know out of 26 kids in here, is at least 10 of you that already know the answer. You could do 18 times 4 in your head, boom, done. Hey, Mr. Franken, I got the answer right. Mom, I got the answer right, and Mr. Franken took points off my test. Are you going to call him? This is unfair. The answer is 72, and that's what I got. No, because we're learning how to write it out so that we can solve problems in the future that are harder, right? Okay, so what am I going to write on the board? Somebody help me. We're going to use N as our variable. We want to know beats per minute. What we know so far is you got 18 beats in 15 seconds. What do you think, Lauren?
Did you write 4N?
Just 4N?
Yeah.
And what are you going to replace N with?
15.
15? Is it that simple? Is it that simple? Is it? What's the same example? What they do? Solution. The phrase multiply suggests multiplication, so the variable expression for heart rate beats per minute is 4N. And what do you do now? Now that you've written it, it was that simple. What do you do now? You evaluate it by plugging in 18 for N. And you get what many of you already got in your head. What's the answer? 72. Number 1, get ready to practice. 3t minus 4 is a blank. What do we call that? What kind of expression? 3t minus 4. Fill in the blank. Come on, let's go fast. 3t minus 4. What's that? What goes in the blank? Is a blank expression. Starts with a V. It's a variable expression. Why? Because they have a letter in there and you don't know the value of it yet. The value for t varies. So what is 3t minus 4? What kind of expression? Variable. Here, if you're unclear about that, watch this. Zacchaeus. 3t minus 4 is called a variable expression. Is that a variable expression, 3 minus 2? 3 minus 2 will always be 1. Will it ever change? No. No matter what kind of new tactics these people in colleges try to come up with, Common Core or whatever, 3 minus 2 will always be 1. 3t minus 4, the answer to that's going to vary. So it's called a variable expression. Next, 5 plus 13 is a you'd have to go back to page. Go ahead. Numerical expression. Variable expression is the big one. Next, number 2. 8 times the number. Match it up. What letter are you matching that up with? Jaden. She says B, 8N. 8 fewer than a number. Bella. C. 8 fewer. Take the number, take 8 fewer. N minus 8. A number increased by 8. Sid. Yes. Take the number plus 8 and 5. The quotient of 8 and a number. Spence. And another way to write that would be 8 over n, correct? Okay, ready? Here's your homework. Jump to page 18. You got to do 11 through 26. Go. It seems like a lot. It's only 16 problems. You got 11 minutes. Some of these problems you'll be able to get done, like 11 through 18. You're evaluating, right? They tell you what the variable is. All you're doing is plugging it in. So the fact of the matter is, 11 through 18, you're doing arithmetic. You're just taking what the value they gave you and plugging it in. What's that called? Evaluating. You're not translating. You're not having to write the expression. You're just plugging in. For instance, number 11, it says x is 7. Boom. 4 times 7, 28 minus 5. Look, you're already on number 12. Because you got 23, right? Yep.
11 to 26.
11 through 26. So you get challenged probably when you get down to 22 through 26. Hopefully, 11 to 22, not much of a challenge. Page 18, 11 through 26. Yes, sir. First quiz, by the way, looking at either Monday or Tuesday, probably Tuesday. Yes, sir.
I don't understand. Oh, like, are we supposed to answer the question? Like for 11?
For number 11, you got to take, what's it say x is equal to? All you got to do is go 4 times 7 minus 5.
We don't have to answer it.
Yeah, what's 4 times 7 minus 5?
23.
23. Boom, done.